Hi, as I was nicely introduced, my name is Karsten Kohler. I manage Hubspot's marketing for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And today I will teach you, or you will learn about three things. The first, what is personalization? The second, why do we need to do personalization? And the third, what can go wrong and what do we have to keep in mind when we do personalization? So, without further ado, what is personalization? Let's look at a couple of examples. So this is a very prominent one that Coke has done a while ago, and you probably all know this. It's the Share a Coke campaign. And this campaign helped Coke stop a downward trend in sales. It actually saw an uplift due to criticism for obesity and artificial sweetness. So this campaign went incredibly well for Coke. Let's look at another example of personalization. So this is an email a colleague of mine sent to a segment of our database. Colleague is Patrick, and he's informing the segment of our database about a landing page tool. So HubSpot has a landing page tool in its all-in-one marketing suite, and we're informing about this tool. Is this personalization? Well, it depends. If the recipient had a look at a landing page tool before, or if he has read a blog post on landing page optimization, then yes, this is personalization. Is this personalization? I wouldn't say so, because this is basically sending a mass email and only using a name token, which is not individualized at all. It's not a personalized experience. It's really just a token. This, in my opinion, is a very good example for personalization. It's what you probably all know, because it's an e-commerce expo. It's a shopping cart abandonment email. So someone starts the shopping process. They fail to finish it, and we send an email, hey, you still got this thing in your shopping cart, why don't you have another look? These emails are incredibly efficient. They yield an incredibly high ROI, just because of the fact that half of the recipients open these emails, and a third of the clicks generate sales. This is amazing. These are metrics that every marketer dreams of. So, why do marketers love personalization? And I've already given you the answer. It's simple. It works. It can yield an incredibly high ROI if we do it right. But there are some mistakes we can make, so I will get into that soon. Why do we have to look, the second thing I mentioned earlier, why do we have to look into personalization at all? Have a look at these statistics. So 99.94 ads online are ignored. That means that only 6 out of 10,000 online ads are actually efficient. They're doing what they're supposed to do, they're doing their job. It's such a low ROI that we shouldn't be doing this at all. Email click-through rates have gone down to a point when only 4% click through an email, less than 4%. Still an ROI, but very bad. And less than a percent is the response rate for digital channels. We shouldn't be doing this the way we're doing it right now. 3 out of 4 online customers get frustrated when a website shows them content that has nothing to do with them, that's not of any relevance to them at all. This is the reasons why the marketing industry has seen a huge diversification. So there have been a lot new roles around marketing. We have acquisition marketers, we have tofu marketers, we have mofu marketers, we have lead nurturing marketers, we have email marketers. All these marketers are tasked with solving this problem of the statistics that I've just shown you. This means a lot of marketers, which means a lot of competition. So how do we stand out in all of this noise? The answer is the topic of the presentation, of course. We have to use targeted content. So just by using targeted content, we can see an uplift in almost a fifth in conversions and generated sales, which is incredible. This is the one thing that distinguishes us from other marketers or e-commerce professionals who are not doing personalization or who are not doing personalization right. So having the knowledge of the prospect is really the only thing that makes us better and gives us a durable competitive advantage over other marketers and over other e-commerce professionals. I want you to remember this because this is probably the most important thing in this presentation. Although it is very easy, still a lot of people forget about it or they do not act upon this. So prospects demand relevance. this just makes sense. Somebody spends time on the internet, is looking for something, and want to find something relevant, that's something that's of importance to them. They wouldn't spend this time if they would want to find something stupid, unimportant, non-relevant. Also, in the same line, they will reward anything that is personalized. Also, this is just intuitive and makes sense. If you have an offer that is not tailored to you at all, or a content piece that doesn't have to do anything with what you're interested in, it won't work. These two aspects mean that you will see an increase in frequency and volume in traffic, leads, MQLs, and sales generated. Keeping this in mind, let's have a look at what marketers are doing right now. So we are usually sending mass emails, or most marketers are sending mass emails just because it's easy, because we have these goals. We want to drive up follower and fan count. We want to drive up blog subscribers, or followers on every possible social media network. We want to drive downloads, we want to drive leads, MQLs, product qualified leads, sales, all of this. And if you think back to the statistics that I've showed you in the beginning, the click-through rate in email is 4%. If you send a mass email to 10,000 people, that's still 400 recipients that will open the email, which, depending on what your standard is, can still be pretty okay. So you might think that sending mass emails, non-personalized, might still be a good idea, but it's not. And this is the reason why. So marketers usually thrive for these three things: traffic, leads, and customers, just because it's easy and a mass email takes, I don't know, I write the copy for a mass email in 5 minutes, so it's kind of a good ROI. It doesn't take much time, and I will still see people clicking through that email. We'll still see some leads generated and some sales generated. But our prospects want this. So how do we align these two things? Especially when our prospects don't want to feel like they're part of a crowd, because everybody is a special snowflake, and they want that we talk to them like they're a special snowflake. So we have to do personalization right. And now we come to the interesting part. How do we do personalization in a way that it's not creepy and that we don't go too far? So at what point do we damage the customer experience by trying to improve it, which can be over-engineering or just doing it in a bad way? Let's have a look at another statistic. 2 out of 3 customers find it intrusive when companies that they have never engaged with use personalized information in their tailored content. So this is the marketing equivalent of a date where you have never met the other person before, but you've researched Facebook photos from 3 years ago online. It's the exact same thing. Why do marketers do this when the real-life equivalent is really, really bad? Have a look at this. It's called the Privacy Challenge. It's a statistic which is the 2nd annual poll on how personal technology is changing our lives. And you can see an uplift of 5% both for developed countries and developing countries in concerns about privacy. Again, this is just intuitive, seeing that we had crises with intelligence agencies, we had political issues. People are more concerned about their data. So we have to ask a question, what is creepy? And we at Hubspot asked the question, what is maybe a creepy scale? And people have asked the same question before, for example, the CMO Council. And they said that the creepy scale is the point at which knowing a customer turns from creating a relevant experience to exhibiting stalker-like behavior. So this is something that is very uncomfortable. We shouldn't be throwing this at our prospects or potential customers at all. So let me show you something that is highly scientific, as you can see just by the fact that the axis, neither axis is labeled with units. But this is a model that can help you identifying if what you're doing is going into the right direction or if it is not. So this is a model that helps you just, if you try to place what you're doing in here, this will give you a hint if you're going into the right direction or what you can improve on. So let's go through a couple of these. On the y-axis, we have the perceived creepiness. On the x-axis, we have the perceived value. The worst thing on the creepy scale is ad retargeting, because it yields very low perceived value and is very creepy. Some of you might know what ad retargeting is. I'll quickly summarize it again. So this is when you search for something on Google Shopping, on Amazon, and for the next 1 or 2 weeks, you will see ads all over the place. Facebook, Google Ads, YouTube, although you might have already purchased it. So this is a case where you have not engaged with anyone who's doing these ads, but still they are reaching out to you and they know what you want, although you don't know them. Same goes for behavioral ad targeting, and I will go into that a couple of slides later. We have a little bit higher value for the 3 orange dots on the scale, which would be in-store facial recognition, push beacons, and on-site product recommendations. In-store facial recognition is something that is perceived very creepy just because it's a new technology and it's very intrusive. So we are being filmed or being scanned from somebody who we don't know. Same goes for push beacons. Somebody's pushing something, a notification on our phone just because we're in a place. This is creepy in a way because we haven't reached out to them, we haven't shown any intent yet. The whole thing becomes a little bit better if we talk about loyalty or reward points, because this means that we have reached out to a company several times before. We have purchased several times, we have shown intent, we have shown fit, and it actually makes sense for the company to reward loyalty points. Let's dive into this a little bit more deeply and talk about the creep factor. So this is a fact. We have to get comfortable with this. 9 out of 10 adults agree or strongly agree that consumers have lost control over how personal information is collected and used by companies. This does mean that we have to be responsible with the data we collect and the data that we use. And I announced that I would talk a little bit about behavioral ad targeting, and some of you might already know this example. Still, it's one of the worst things that has ever happened in behavioral ad targeting. So Target, an online retailer, did behavioral ad targeting, and there was this young girl who became pregnant, her parents not knowing about this. So she was looking online for products that are usual for this time during the pregnancy. So, for example, unscented body lotion, which usually searched by people who are pregnant 3 months in. So the family had a collective email account, and the father received an email with this, because Target already knew that the girl was pregnant before the parents did. I'll let you be the judge. How about targeting women when they feel their ugliest? So we should not use all of the data that we collect as marketers and e-commerce professionals. What about ads that address you by name? So I've showed you this example before. This is the Share a Coke campaign. So while this is personalization and it qualifies technically as personalization, it's kind of a mix, because this is a tailored message because it has your name, but it is sent to hundreds of thousands of people. So in this campaign, I'm not a special snowflake because everybody else is seeing this as well. What about swag with your face on it? So a colleague of mine, Emma Knox, received this. This is a promotional gift from a campaign we don't know. We still don't know them. But they looked up Emma's face on LinkedIn, saved the image, put it on Sweets, together with the Hubspot logo, which is probably copyright infringement and our sprocket, and sent this to her, and she did not know who the company is, why they took the picture. So there might be a good fit for the company because we do swag at events, but there has been no sign of intent from our side that we actually want this. So what can we do as marketers to give prospects a relevant target experience without crossing the line? The antidote to creepiness is engagement. And it's very easy. It's called digital body language, which is actually very similar to normal body language or real-life body language when you think about it. So digital body language can be anything from social media clicks, content downloads, email opens, website clicks. So this all helps us find out if somebody is not only a good fit, but if they too have an intent to buy from us in the future, or if they're interested in us. And the good thing is we already have all of the tools to do or to check the digital body language. So this is already in place. Sometimes these are free tools. This is an example from Hubspot. So you can see a Hubspot contact record in the middle. And what you see on the left-hand side are the form submissions. So we collect data by form submissions, as most people do. And we have information like name, email, phone, role, department, the company and industry, the employees and the team size. So all of this is already there. We could use this information already and personalize an email, which uses all of this, but it would be intrusive. Because if someone only fills out a form once and then never comes back to our website, why would they want an email that is personalized with all of this information? So we need to wait for this. We need to wait for the interactions. So someone reads a blog article. We can use tracking pixels or cookies to do this. Maybe they have filled out a couple of more forms. Maybe they've downloaded a couple of ebooks. So all of this is digital body languages that helps us build a 360-degree view of our contact. And then we have everything that we need. We have both the fit that we can check with the form submissions and the data that we collect, and we have the intent. So our prospect, our potential customer, has actually shown intent of engaging with us, and this enables us now to, in an ethically okay way, to use the data on the left. To give you an example, a very easy example for this. So if someone has never engaged with HubSpot, they will see the left-hand screenshot first time they view our website. If they move further down the funnel and along the buyer's journey from stranger to visitor to leads to customers, they've shown a lot of digital body language to us. If somebody has bought our products, they've probably seen ebooks, they've talked to a rep, they're using our software, so we can easily say, "Hi Jane, welcome back." This is actually a nice thing to do if somebody has engaged with you a couple of times. So we need to understand when our prospects are becoming disengaged and annoyed, because it's digital body language as well. Also, we have to make sure that we act upon it. Because I've told this, now you know, but you have to act upon it. So if you don't change anything after this presentation, you're still doing stuff wrong that I've shown you, nothing has changed. So you have the model, the creepy scale, you have a couple of tips. It's very easy to act upon this and do it right, because you will see an increase in traffic, leads, MQLs, and conversion rate. So a couple of people approach us and tell us that we should eat our own dog food because we're preaching good personalization and good inbound marketing, and we're actually doing it. So this is a blog post from a colleague of mine, Ginny, who's based in Cambridge, because we found out that doing personalization wrong is harmful to our database. So what we did is we created a workflow in HubSpot that unsubscribed 250,000 people who had not engaged with us in a long time. So what do you think happened? Almost all of our metrics went up because we did this. It's intuitive, it makes sense. So if we don't approach unengaged recipients or prospects anymore, then we will see an uplift in all of the other metrics. So why do we need to get this right? I've shown you a couple of statistics in the beginning when it comes to the effectiveness of emails, of online ads, and this is a very permanent threat to us as marketers and to e-commerce professionals. Because the effectiveness of all of these traditional ways of doing marketing is declining at a very, very high pace. Internet users have started using ad blocking extensions, and you should know this if you work in e-commerce. So just as a friendly reminder, it's going to be worse in a couple of years, much worse. So you need to get this right now to not lag behind. HubSpot ourselves, we did a study on a couple of these things, and 2 out of 3 people say that ads today are annoying or intrusive. Also, most people would say that this has become worse in the past couple of years. There's good news though. When we asked about the best way to support websites to cover costs, and this means we can use this in e-commerce as well, majority, so 7 out of 10 respondents say they don't mind seeing ads as long as they're not annoying. And this is key, because if we do personalization right, then we can benefit from this loophole. This means stop with anything that I've shown you, which is bad practice. It means sending mass emails and thinking it's personalization just because you use a name token. This means not segmenting your email database and sending everybody the same message. Also, this means waiting for the intent, the digital body language before you engage somebody and use all of that information that you have collected so far. So here are my 4 key takeaways for you. You have to understand your prospects and your goals. This means that ideally you have a buyer persona that you know very well. So for those of you who don't know, the buyer persona is a fictional representation of your ideal customer. So this buyer persona for us at HubSpot is Marketing Mary. She has challenges, she has an age, she has interests, she has kids, all of this. This fictional representation helps you understand who you are doing your marketing to. You have to act on this persona. You have to gather information, but you have to understand boundaries. So these boundaries can be either legal, or these boundaries can be set by waiting for the digital body languages, which would be point 3. So you use data you've collected to personalize experience, but you don't get creepy. So think back to the creepy scale I've shown you before and act upon it. And last but not least, you have to engage with your prospects and read their signals. So this is, if you remember one thing from this presentation is wait for the digital body language and don't use the data that you've collected before doing that. Also remember, you can't speak to your audience like they're part of a crowd because they don't want to feel like that. Everybody's a special snowflake. So you need to get personalization right, but you need to respect boundaries.